This story is sponsored by Masterworks.
Never had no money to pay his fine. She was a friend of mine.
Finally, in September, came some much-needed rain, and we ate omelets amongst the small-town banter before heading over the mountain, where the leaves were already starting to show off. And that little stream at the cabin was finally looking healthy again. And we loaded up Old Blue with the rain-proof travel setup, as today we were heading north on a trip we had been anticipating all year. It was a hideout I found last summer, in the mountains that we yearn for from the computer chairs of our Milltown apartment. These early foliage hunting trips are some of my favorite because the anticipation for fall really starts to build, and it's not full bore yet, but seeing little glimpses here and there, they get you excited for the big show. It's like the opening act before the headliner comes out. And just any trip in general, we don't take as many as we used to, but anytime we get to go to the mountains and hike and stay at a really beautiful place, I mean, this is one of the coolest hideouts that I know of in New England. But with everything going on in the world and the economy right now, it definitely is harder to do these trips. And that's why I'm sharing with you an idea from my friends over at Masterworks. It's not often that you can merge beauty with financial security. But when you're investing in world-class paintings from people like Banksy, Warhol, Picasso, you'll be surprised how far aesthetics can take you. The experts at Masterworks buy these type of paintings and they break them up into shares. That way you don't need millions of dollars to invest in a legendary piece of art because you're investing in just a portion, and you can customize your investment to your needs. This is the same kind of art that hangs in museums all over the world, and it increases in value over time because it's so rare and desirable, in the same way that Old Blue or Georgie the Van will increase in value over time. That's why when Masterworks sells a painting that you're invested in, you'll get a share of the potential profits. To date, Masterworks has sold 6 paintings with an average net return of 29%, and their collection of unsold art has appreciated by 15.3% so far. So to put that into perspective, the company Apple, so far this year, their stock is down around 14%. Masterworks is the real deal. It's a real way to invest capital. Being an artist myself, I really like what Masterworks is doing. So far, Masterworks has over 500,000 members with $500 million under management. And there is a waiting list to join, but if you want to skip it, you can click the link in the video description below. So thank you to Masterworks for supporting this channel, and now back to the story.
I can't believe how fast the water's going right there.
Well, we arrived as the world turned blue and got settled into our Riverside White Mountain getaway. Last year we were here during the warmth of August, but this time it was cold enough for a fire. Our first one of the season. And we woke early this next morning as we had a big hike planned. And though the rain was lingering, our pocket computers said that blue skies were in the cards, so we were hopeful. The water was teeth-chattering brisk after the rain, but there's no better way to wake up and prepare yourself to summit a mountain. And I loaded some Ektar into my new film camera, which allowed me to use my professional lenses, and headed out to hunt for details as usual. And I post all my film photography on my Patreon if you're interested, and the link is in the video description, along with the link to this cabin. Just like, and then a swimming hole.
There's probably more vegetables in this than any quiche you ever had.
Really?
Quantity wise, not like different kinds of vegetables, but yeah.
Loaded. And Allie made a delicious quiche, which we demolished along with some Red October, before making our way to the trail. And the blue sky started showing up after all, along with big stretches of fall color along the roadsides.
Holy smokes, this whole stretch is nuts.
And the trail we took followed the river for the whole beginning section, and some parts of it felt like the land before time. We had about 9 miles round trip, and we hadn't hiked much all year, so we were feeling the burn. Plus, these white mountain trails can be pretty steep and relentless in sections.
If I take a deep whiff. It's the best smell in the world. So sweet.
We had 3 summits to tackle in total, with a ridge connecting them all, and we had our fingers crossed that the clouds would allow for a decent view. And there were so many natural treasures to behold the whole way up. When we got to the first summit, we could barely see the rest of the ridge through the fog.
Ooh, right.
Wow, that's sick.
And as we started crossing it, we realized that we were walking the dividing line between blue skies and a massive wall of mist.
This is wild.
And every few minutes, we'd get a brief glimpse of what was to come.
I think a bug just tried to sting me.
The sun's getting so nice.
Yeah.
It was so fun sharing this experience with Allie, because we were both so genuinely happy to be up there with the clouds, breathing the mountain air deep into our lungs.
And by the time we got to the final summit, it was completely engulfed in fog and the flies were unbearable. So we rolled over the top and stopped for one of our favorite snacks, homemade sourdough, peanut butter, and mashed berries. A PBJ like no other.
It's all dark and cold now. That's a hut.
And when we got to the hut on the way down, the inside smelled like fresh baked pie as the young cooks cleaned the kitchen with the back door open to the blue skies and the mountain breeze. And we made it down just before sunset, with our legs like jello and our stomachs rumbling yet again. And as we made our way back toward our log cabin base camp, a giant yellow moon rose above the highway.
Read, write, like.
And the next morning, we woke before the sun to savor our last stretch of hours at our beloved Riverside escape. And while this morning began with a haze too, the golden sun eventually cut through. After a slow fireside morning and Allie's famous blueberry protein pancakes, it was time to leave our Ellis River abode, though we still had one more night in the mountains and plenty left to do. As a kid.
Oh my god.
Wow.
This is way crazier than I expected.
That's so sweet.
The breeze feels so good.
And we did a quick hike up to one of the best views in the White Mountains, where I had flashbacks from when I was a kid, as my family used to vacation in the Whites every summer, and I knew I had been to some of the places from this trip before. And it was great timing too, as the train started rolling in, just as we sat down for a snack. And there were subtle signs of color in spots, but we daydreamed about what this view would look like in full bloom fall, and talked about how we needed to do more big hikes with views this October. Pretty short train. On the 8th of every month, we always get dinner together to celebrate another month of companionship. And so after hiking, we rode a 1920s train car that followed the river, played old Sinatra and jazz, and served a delicious meal with old-fashioned drinks. It was one of the most memorable experiences we ever had, and we cherished every second that we rumbled over those old tracks. And then we rode with the moon to the border of New Hampshire and Vermont, where we stayed the night in a history-rich inn on Juniper Hill. And after a quick rest, We started taking the long way home and made our first stop in Woodstock, Vermont, which neither of us had ever spent much time in.
This one's just like your mom's.
And then it was off through the countryside with a few spontaneous pit stops along the way. The pollinators made haste with the tail end of the season's bounty, and we stood under the quiet covered bridge amongst the buzzing and the white noise of the river, feeling thankful for tiny moments like this.
Best friends.
And in a few spots, the fall scenes were coming along strong, and so was the crunch of the leaves.
That one's really nice.
But it was a wrong turn that led us to turn around at a farm stand that ended up being the highlight of the trip. The owners were friendly and kind and told us to wander around all we'd like. And since Allie and I have dreams of owning our own farm one day, we were in heaven. Tommy the turkey and a rooster followed us around, and we admired the old machines and the animals galore.
This is like
And they told us how they had music on their stage every Friday night, and they cooked pizza in the big stone oven for all their friends. And Allie and I looked at each other in awe as this all felt like our daydreams come to life.
That cow just rolled over. That was really cute.
The owner encouraged us to go say hi to the cows in the backfield, and so we walked the stone wall-lined road up there and got closer than we ever had to them. Being around animals makes me so happy. I can't wait to own a property with tons of space for animals and the ability to spend time with them whenever I want. The same way I used to hang out with the chickens and the ducks at my parents' house growing up whenever I felt stressed out.
You guys are all really pretty, did you know that? Every last one of you.
They always calmed me down and made me forget about the silly human stuff that drives us all mad.
I gotta watch every step I take right now.
And as I looked out over the stone wall, past the foliage and towards the mountains, I took a deep breath and smiled, as I knew that one day this would be our reality. It was just going to take more time, dedication, and hard work. Because nothing good comes easy, and everything happens in good time.
Is it a rainbow?
I don't.
That's a nice little fish.
What kind of?
The rookie. Here, could you hold this real
Yeah.
They're so feisty. Nice hook.
You want to take a picture of you with it?
Oh, that's okay. We're gonna catch plenty more.
Bye. Nice one.